Today I'm going to show you how to make this stunning winter's night snowflake shawl. It's going to be approximately 20 inches deep and about 7.5+ feet long. That's great length, especially if you happen to be a plus size person, for example. You'll find that you can wrap it around yourself quite nicely and quite easily. Because I know sometimes that can be a problem for us larger ladies when we're shopping for a shawl, when we're making a shawl, looking at designs or patterns. They sometimes fall a little short of the length that we actually need them so that they hang right and look wonderful. Also keep in mind that this is going to be about 5 snowflakes deep. So you're going to have about 5 rows of snowflakes to create this shawl. And it will give you, 109 snowflakes, give or take. Your mileage may differ depending on where you choose to stop. But if you follow the pattern according to how I instructed, according to the piece that I made, then you're going to have 109 snowflakes. Also, you know, not only is this going to look really nice with an evening dress, you can also use this to dress up your casual wear, make your casual wear a little fancier. It's not only deep enough to cover your shoulders and the upper part of your back, which is nice, and then of course it'll hang and drape beautifully. You can also wrap it around like a really fancy scarf. It's not so heavy or thick that isn't going to lay and look lovely just like that. Or you can also use it as a fancy cowl. Just wrap it around a couple of times, experiment. It's a beautiful piece of fabric. It is very versatile, and it is my pleasure to bring this to you today. Now also, just a quick little note, when you get ready to make this, I'm going to let you know what yarn I used. Now, you can use any yarn you like actually, but just keep in mind the yarn I used is a super fine size 1. Okay, I personally thought the brand yarn was just slightly thicker than what I would consider a super fine one. But this is what gave me the dimensions. So if you're using a thicker yarn, a heavier yarn, or maybe even a lighter lace weight yarn, keep that in mind because your piece is going to be a little smaller or a little bigger depending on the exact yarn you're going to use. So my name is Sig, and it is a pleasure to have you with me at this time. I'd also like to remind you that it's your support that allows me to contribute new content and weekly videos. Help us all grow together by tapping that subscribe bar, notification bell, and like buttons. I look forward to your comments and always value your feedback. This particular one I used YarnArt Flower Moonlight. And this color is the 3271. I like it because it gives you that gradation that I'm looking for. It's a super fine yarn, number 1. It instructs for you to use a size 3mm. I have actually opted to use one just a little smaller than that. It's a 2.20mm as far as my hook is concerned. And then it's a blend. So you're looking at 53% cotton, 43% pack, and then a 4% metallic polyester. Now we're going to use 2 cakes for this shawl. When using the first cake, the trick is not to just make your snowflakes and then try to connect them later. And I'll show you how to do that as we go along. Really, for the first cake, you're going to want to start working from the inside as well as the outside. So for example, begin using the very darkest from the inside of the cake, and then also the very lightest from the outside of the cake. As you can see here, this is my darkest and this is my lightest. As I progress through the shawl, we will start moving closer together in progression, right? Colors. So as I get to the middle of the shawl, I'm now using colors that are a little closer together. So I've got this slightly lighter blue working with this slightly darker yarn for my stars. and then so on and so forth. So as I move even further down into the piece, my colors, or the differentiation between the colors, get a little more narrow. And that gives me this beautiful transition, this beautiful gradation. Now, because this piece actually takes 2 of these cakes, by the time I get to my second cake, I'm not going to be so concerned about working from the outside and then working into the inside. By then I've kind of gotten my flow going. I kind of figure out exactly how I want my gradation to look through the whole piece. And so then I just start working from the piece that I need. So by the time I get to the farther end, the opposite end of my super dark, I'm going to be into my super light. And so I'll just need to work from the outside of my yarn for a while, like from my lights to my lights, and then start throwing in a super dark snowflake. So my light will then become my background and my dark will then become my snowflake. Whereas on the opposite side of this, my darkest was my background and my lightest was my snowflake. And so this helps to create the illusion of this complicated gradation. And really it's not, it's just how you place and organize your snowflakes. And you have to put a little more thought into it, because as you crochet along, you will be connecting them together. And we'll go on and I will show you how to do that here in about 2 seconds. So I will show you how to make the snowflake, and then I will show you how to connect your snowflake into the piece. Okay, let's get started. So to begin with the snowflake, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to make an adjustable ring. And then I'm going to chain 3. And then I'm going to do a double crochet. So my chain 3 is going to act as the first double crochet, and then I have my second double crochet. And then I'm going to chain 2. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do 2 double crochets. And then I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to continue doing this until I have 6 sets of double crochets and 2 chains. So that's my 3rd set. And then double crochet, and chain 2. Give me my 4th set. That's my 5th set, and then 1 more set of double crochet, and chain 2. So I'm going to tighten my ring. And then I like to pull up my tail and weave it in as I continue with my piece. So then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to join my circle into the second chain of that 3 chain that I did at the beginning of this first round. It's going to be a slip stitch, and then I'm going to begin the second round again with a chain 3, and then I'm going to do a double crochet into that same stitch as my chain 3. So again, that chain 3 will stand in as a double crochet and then a double crochet. So I will do 2 double crochets in my next stitch. Then I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to continue 2 double crochets in that next double crochet stitch, and then 2 more double crochets, in the next stitch. I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to skip the chain 2 space, and in the next double crochet space I'm going to double crochet 2 double crochets. And then in the next stitch another 2 double crochets. Chain 2, skip this next chain 2 space, and then 2 double crochets in the next double crochet stitch. And then 2 more double crochets in the next stitch after that. And 2 chain 2, skip this chain 2 space, and 2 double crochets in the next stitch, which is this double crochet stitch. And then 2 more chains, and then skip the 2 chain space and double crochet in the next double crochet stitch, and then 1 more time 2 double crochets in that next stitch. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to join into the second chain of the 3 chain stitch that I made at the beginning of round 2. So your piece should look like this so far. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 3 again. And that again will take the place of a double crochet. And what I'm going to do though is these next set of double crochets, so it'll be a set of 4 double crochets, I'm going to crochet the 4 double crochets together. And what I mean by that is I'm going to begin my double crochet, and then I'm only going to complete it to the very last step, just like that. And then I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook and do another double crochet. I'm going to complete it until it's just to the last stitch. So now that leaves 3 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to do it one more time to where I start my double crochet, but I don't quite complete it. And that gives me 4 loops on my hook, and you could see my 4 double crochets. Well, this is my chain, but it's acting in the place of a double crochet, and then these other right here. You can see where I've begun them to the last stitch, and then I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull that yarn all the way through all 4 of those stitches. And in essence, I will have double crocheted all 4 of my double crochets together. Just like that. And then I'm going to chain 7. And then I'm going to come down and I'm going to insert my hook into this base stitch right here where I've pulled everything together. And I am going to draw my yarn through and make a slip stitch. In essence, giving me a loop, a 7 count loop. And then I'm going to chain 4. I'm going to single crochet in this next chain 2 space. And then I'm going to chain 4 more. And then I'm going to start my 4 double crochets crocheted together pattern next. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to have 5 loops on this hook. The 1 loop is from the chain 4 space. And then the other 4 loops are the double crochets done to their last stitch, and then I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull my yarn all the way through all those 5 loops, and then I'm going to chain 7. And then again, I'm going to come down and I'm going to join in a slip stitch here at the base of my chain 7 to give me a chain 7 loop. And then I'm going to chain 4 and then single crochet in that next chain 2 space, and then chain 4 again, and then start my next set of 4 double crochets crocheted together. Leaving me with 5 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull all the way through those loops, pulling my 4 double crochets together, and then I'm going to do my chain 7. And then I'm going to join there at the base of my chain 7 to create my chain 7 loop. Then I'm going to chain 4, single crochet in the next chain 2 space, and chain 4 again. And then I'm going to continue that same pattern to complete round 3. Now single chain 4, and then I'm going to join or slip stitch right up here at the neck of round 3, the first 7 chain neck. And so this is the completion of round 3. Now round 4, and which is also the last round in this snowflake motif, is going to be a little multifaceted. So so stay with me. The first part's going to be easy enough to follow, and then after I get through a small stretch of it, I'm going to pull over the shawl, and I'm going to show you how you then attach this to the shawl while you're completing your round 4. Now, if this were going to be the very first snowflake that I made in order to begin this shawl, I would actually complete the snowflake or round 4 all by itself. I wouldn't be connecting it to anything because everything would be connecting off of this first single snowflake. But since this snowflake is the last snowflake I need to make in order to complete at least the snowflake part of this shawl before we move on to the trim. I'm going to show you how to do the first couple of legs, and then I'll pull in the shawl and I will show you how to finish the rest of the round while also connecting it to the shawl. So to begin round 4, I'm going to single crochet in that loop, and then I'm going to make a half double crochet once and a half double crochet twice. And then I'm going to make a double crochet 4 times. 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to single chain 4, and then I'm going to double crochet 4 in that loop again. And then I'm going to half double crochet once and twice. Then single crochet. And then in that chain 4 space, I'm going to single crochet twice. And then I'm going to single chain 3 chains. And then I'm going to make a 3 chain picot. So I did my 3, chain 3. And then here, this 3rd chain from the hook, I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm going to just make a slip stitch there. And then I'm going to chain 3. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next chain 4 space. And I'm going to single crochet 1 more time in that space. So it should look like this. So you have the 1 point is completed, and then you've created a smaller point. And then we start it over again. I'm going to, in the next 7 chain loop, I'm going to make a single crochet, and then I'm going to make a half double crochet, and then another half double crochet, and then 4 double crochets. And then I'm going to chain 4. And then I'm going to do 4 more double crochets in that chain 7 space. I'm going to half double crochet once, and then another half double crochet, and then a single crochet, all in that 7 space loop, that 7 chain space loop. And then in the next 4 chain space, I'm going to single crochet once, and then twice, and then I'm going to chain 3. Then I'm going to do a chain 3 picot. So that's going to be a chain 3 more, and then in that 3rd chain from my hook, I'm going to make a slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 3 more. And then with a single crochet, connect it to the next chain 4 space, and then add my next single crochet in that space. So at this point, you should have something that looks a lot like this. So now, if I was going to complete this snowflake just as it is, I would continue just as I have around and finish up this round 4. And then, of course, finish it off, and that would be my snowflake. And that is how I would start with my very first snowflake. But since this is my very last snowflake, I'm going to connect it to all the other snowflakes that I have combined. And as you can see here, my last section where I'm going to put that last snowflake is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 connection points. So because it's going to have 5 connection points, I'm going to have to come back here and just go ahead and pull out my work just a little bit right up here to halfway through that second connection point, right? So because there's 6 points on, or 6 main points on this piece, by the time you're finished, you'll actually have 12 points. But for all intents and purposes, I'm counting the major connection points as these larger points. And that's even though I'm going to connect all the points. These are really the main points that I'm just looking at the moment. And so since I don't need this point to connect to anything just yet, I just need to have my next points to connect. So this point right here is going to connect here. And then we'll connect here. And then we'll connect here. And then again here. And then here, of course. And so on and so forth. And so we're going to finish working the last round of this snowflake while we tie it into the connection points with the rest of the snowflakes. So take your time with this and just, make sure you have your point counts, because sometimes when you're putting it together, you're only going to have where you put 2, where you have 2 points connected, and other times you're going to have 4 points connected or 3 points connected. So just take a look at your work and make sure that you have your count right with the point connections that you're going to be combining at that moment. So you know how far or how many of your larger points on your snowflake you need to complete before you actually start your connection process. So let me turn my work around here. And I'm going to try to do this so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm halfway through this second point, this second large point. And I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to basically slip stitch that together. And then I'm going to complete my 2 chains. And then I'm going to continue as normal. So I'm going to have my 4 double crochets, 2, 3, and 4. And then my next 2 stitches, which are going to be half double crochets. So it'll be half double crochet and half double crochet, and then single crochet. And then I'm going to do 2 single crochets in that next chain 4 space. And then I'm going to chain 3. So instead of doing the peacock, it's going to be slightly different. So I've chained 3. I'm going to chain 1 more. And then I'm going to come to the connection point of the other peacock. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slip my hook right into the center of that. And I'm going to slip stitch again to connect my points. And then I'm going to go, and then the next chain from that slip stitch, I'm going to actually slip stitch again. So it gives me kind of that peacock look, but the 2 peacocks are actually joined. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 3, single crochet in that next chain 4 space, and then single crochet again in that chain 4 space. And then we're going to begin again in the next 7 chain loop with a single crochet, half double crochet, half double crochet, 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to come up here, and this is where I'm going to join my next points. So these 2 points are already joined together, these larger points, and I'm just going to go ahead and join my next point in there with a slip stitch. I'm going to chain 2 and then continue. So it'll be a 4 double crochets. Then 2 half double crochets. A single crochet. And then 2 single crochets in the next chain 4 space. And I'm going to chain 3 plus 1. And then I'm going to slip stitch it to the point, or that peacock, on the corresponding snowflake. And then I'm going to slip stitch again in the next chain stitch to secure the connection. And then I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to single crochet in the next chain 4 space and single crochet again. And then I'm going to continue. So single crochet in the next 7 chain, or chain 7 loop, and then half double crochet, half double crochet, and my double crochet 4 times. And then I'm going to chain 2. Then I'm going to connect this point with the next 2 large connection of the corresponding points with a slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 2. And I'm going to begin again with my 4 double crochets. Then half double crochet twice, and then a single crochet. And then in my next chain 4 space, again, 2 single crochets. And chain 3 plus 1. So you can see how we're starting to, how everything's starting to connect together. And I will continue that way, finishing up all my connected snowflakes. And then when I return, I'm going to show you how I made the trim for this piece. So now is a good time to start the trim or the border. and I will let you know the first round. This border is going to be several rounds long, just to give you a heads up now. And I will show you how to do the border in clips of 1 or 2 rounds at a time. Since most of it's going to be repeat anyways, we'll just go through a little bit of what you need to do for a particular round. And then we'll fade into the next round. So you can kind of follow it like that and jump in and out as you need to according to where you're at on your piece. So as you can see, I've started the first round of the border here. And basically this is chains, single crochets, and double crochets. And I'll show you what I mean. So these tips right here, the big tips on the snowflakes that stand alone, when you hit one, or when you're, either you're coming off of one or you're going to one, you're going to want to crochet 7 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then when you hit this middle peak right here, this middle point, I'm going to go ahead and double crochet into that point. And then of course I'm coming on to this bigger point here, because we're kind of at the corner, right? So this is how we're working the corner. I'm going to chain 7. And then I'm going to single crochet in the top point of that next corner. And this part of the snowflake creates the corner of the shawl. So again, single crochet, chain 7, double crochet, chain 7 again, and then single crochet. And now at this point, we're going to add one additional element. So just follow along. I'm going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to double crochet into the first double crochet on this side of that 7 loop chain. Okay, so on this side of that corner point there. And then chain 5 again. And then I'm going to double crochet into the picot of that next smaller point. And then chain 5. And we're going to double crochet into the first double crochet of this larger point here on the chain 7 loop. And then chain 5. And then double crochet where these 2 large points meet. So right in here. Then chain 5. And then again on the first double crochet of this large point. And then chain 5 again. And double crochet into the picot of the next little point. And so now we're coming up here onto this next large point that's by itself. So when we do that, we're going to go ahead and chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I'm going to single crochet into that point. And then I'm going to continue. So I'm coming off of this large single point, and I'm going to chain 7 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to double crochet into the picot of the next smaller point. And then from here, I'll start my repetition of 5 chains and double crochets. So I'm going to chain 5. And then double crochet into that first double crochet of that attached larger point. And then I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to double crochet where these 2 large points connect. And I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to double crochet again at the double crochet point, the first one. And then chain 5. And then I'm going to double crochet into the next small point in the peacock. And then now I'm coming up on this next stand alone point. So I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to single crochet into that point. And then I'm going to chain 7 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to double crochet into that smaller point, into the peacock of that smaller point. And then I'm going to chain 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then single crochet into the end of that stand alone larger point. And now that I'm coming off that standalone larger point and I'm going into where the points are either smaller or connected, I'm going to do 7 one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to double crochet into the peacock of that smaller point. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to double crochet into that first double crochet of the point that connects with the other large point, like that. And then I'm going to chain 5 again. And then I'm going to double crochet where the 2 points conjoin. And then I'm going to chain 5. And I'm going to then double crochet into that next double crochet, first one. And then I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to double crochet again into the peacock of that smaller point. And then once again, I'm coming up on my next corner. And because I'm coming up on this standalone point, I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to single crochet. And I'm going to chain 7 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to double crochet into the next peacock. Now I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to do a double crochet into that first double crochet of that conjoined point. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then a double crochet to where the 2 points connect. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in that next double crochet point, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain, and a double crochet into the point. Now, of course, please jump ahead if this is redundant, if you don't need me to, you know, continually walk you through it, if you've kind of figured out the pattern of the piece. And then 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right there into the corner of that standalone. And that's just going to be a single crochet. And then here we're at the last corner, because as I told you before, I started already this piece a little earlier so I could show you round 1 and round 2 for the trim or the border. And you need to crochet 7 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. A double crochet into that peacock. And then 7 one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to join into the single crochet. And make a slip stitch. So when you start this first round, go ahead and just pick a corner. Any corner is fine, or any extended point is fine. And that's where you're going to go ahead and you're going to join your yarn, and then you're going to do a single crochet. And then from there, you're going to start the pattern that I just went through. Now we're going to begin round 2. And so of course I've already joined it. I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm going to do a single crochet in that same single crochet space from round 1. And then I'm going to single crochet 7 in the 7 space. And I'm going to single crochet once in the double crochet space. And then I'm going to single crochet 5 in the 5 space, and then single crochet 1 in the next double crochet space. So basically I'm going to match a single crochet for every stitch that I've done all the way around this piece. And for those of you who need me to show you exactly what that looks like, I'll do that for a little bit, and then I'll meet back up with you to discuss round 3. So we've already put in our first single crochet. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. Okay, so my first single crochet was on the single crochet here, so that was 1. And then I had a 7 chain space, and so I single crocheted 7, which gave me a total of 8 single crochets. So then I'm here at the double crochet, and I'm going to make a single crochet in that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do 5 single crochets in the 5 chain space. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next double crochet space. And I'm going to continue doing that all the way around. So round 2 is finished. Round 2 of the border for the trim. And you can see how that's already framing those snowflakes really nicely. So for round 3, we're going to move on. And for this one, super simple again, going to chain 3. And then I'm going to skip a stitch and I'm going to double crochet. And then chain 1, skip a stitch, and double crochet. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and double crochet. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and double crochet. Just like that. Now that we're finishing up round 3, I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the second chain of that first chain 3 for round 3. I'm going to make a slip stitch, chain 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single crochet in that first chain 1 space of round 4. Then I'm going to chain 5, and then I'm going to skip a chain 1 space and then single crochet in the next chain 1 space. Just like that. I'm going to chain 5 again, skip the next chain 1 space and single crochet in the chain 1 space after that, and chain 5 again. And I'm going to continue to do this for the entirety of round 4. Now that I've completed row 4, I'm going to again join it with a slip stitch. Then I'm going to chain 2. And then for round 5, I'm going to double crochet 5 times in each one of these chain 5 spaces. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then again, double crochet 5 in each one of these chain 5 spaces. And then that's all you need to do for the whole row of 5, or for this 5th row. Now that we've completed round 4 and we've joined our last stitch with the second stitch in the first chain, or in the second chain of the first stitch in the round 4, we're going to move on to round or row 5. And this is going to be our last row. Pay attention, it can get a little tricky. So you're going to want to go ahead, and if your yarn is already joined, just continue, chain 3. If you need to join yarn for whatever reason, go ahead and pick a spot that puts you at the very beginning of a 5 chain space where you have your 5 double crochets. And then from there, you're going to fasten with a slip stitch, and then you're going to chain 3. And your chain 3 is going to act as a double crochet. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another double crochet, but I am going to skip a double crochet and then double crochet in that next double crochet. This is just how we're getting ready to start. Things are going to be a little different going forward, so hang with me just a couple more minutes. And then once I have my chain 3 and my double crochet, I'm going to make a 5 chain picot. So I'm going to chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to insert my hook there at the base and make a slip stitch. Then I'm going to chain 3. Now after I've chained 3, this is where things are going to get a little more interesting. I want to start working with 2 double crochets together, right? So basically, just as you remember we doing earlier, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to skip a stitch, and then I'm going to begin my first double crochet, but I'm not going to complete it just yet. And then I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to skip 2 stitches, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to begin my next double crochet, and then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull them both together like this. And this creates a 2 double crochet cluster. Now I'm going to do another picot, another 5 chain picot. So I'm going to chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to slip stitch right here in those 2 bars there at the front of the base of that 5 chain. And now I've created my next 5 chain picot. I'm going to chain 3. Then I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to start my 2 double crochet cluster again. So I'm going to enter there, and I'm going to begin, and then I'm going to skip 2 stitches, and I'm going to do my next double crochet for my 2 double crochet cluster. And yarn over and pull it through, and I'm going to pull my double crochet clusters together just like that. And then I'm going to do my 5 chain picot. And I'm going to chain 3. And then I'm going to skip a stitch, and I'm going to begin my 2 double crochet cluster again, and then skip 2 more stitches, and then complete the second half of my 2 double crochet cluster, and then do my picot. And then chain 3. So this is going to be the last part of the trim, and you just continue as we have been, minus this first beginning part of the trim, all the way around. Until we meet again, I'd like to say to all you wonderful and weird fiber artists, stay safe, stay amazing, and above all, stay crafty. Don't forget to check out my other videos. Bye-bye now.